Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the old dropped frame. Sorry for being a little bit late. We had some green screens, a new room or two to add into the mix. Cohh, you're at the new house. Are you there? Good. Are you? Are
Yeah,
you? Is this a transitional period still? What's going
100%
on?
transitional.
Okay.
It's still kind of butt during the day. So I mean, in
Internet
fact, the
wise, I
Spectrum
assume.
guy, yeah, the Spectrum guy. Oh, well, look
Yeah.
at
Speak of
that.
the devil.
Speak of the devil. Yes, the Spectrum guy is supposed to be back today between like 3 and 4. So we'll figure that out. Yeah, it's going okay. The move and stuff is going great. The renovations and stuff are definitely slowly moving along. And then hopefully by this time next month, famous last words, I should have fiber. So at that point, I will actually be able to move into the house officially. This is my house right now, but it is not yet my home until I have fiber.
Okay.
So I am hopefully going to be getting that soon.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Dan, what about you? I guess this is house talk, featuring drop frames.
Yeah,
How's your house going?
it's looking like my house will be finished being built next month, so I'll be able
Oh,
to move in very soon after that.
it's a race to see who finishes first.
Yeah,
Who's
it's
going
gonna
to
be my
win? I don't want
my
to spoil
first
it for
house
you, but
ever.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Have you been over there and like looked at the progress? Or are you waiting for like a full?
Yeah, I've been over like 2 times every week just to see what's done, what's done, what's done.
Oh,
You know,
you're over there a
every like,
lot. Okay.
I'm excited. You know, it's close enough I can just go drive over there and see what they've done and what I haven't done yet.
Yeah, yeah, cool stuff. What about your?
Now, when you
internet?
say
Everyone talk
when
at
you say
once.
your house is being built, Dan,
Yes,
did you design it yourself and all that
I
stuff?
found that one that was like halfway built that no one had like hadn't been on the market yet. So I was only able to customize like the last little bits like fixtures and lights and stuff and cabinets, but
Mhm.
the base of the house was already designed and I loved the design, so it was okay.
That's
Cool.
good. Yeah, it's always fun
Very
when you get
cool.
to add a little bit of your own touch to things, because that's not
Oh yeah,
usually have to do that after you buy the house, right? That's when you
true.
start the renovation
Yeah,
process, which I think Co's currently experiencing right now. Yeah.
that is what I am currently experiencing on like 7 different fronts here.
How are you
There's a
liking
lot.
all the construction shortage of materials, Co? You enjoying that aspect of it? COVID's really making that fun. Our house, our
Yeah,
kitchen has taken
super.
9 months to finish. It's great.
Yep.
It's still not done. It
I
started
ordered a
in
rug. It
December.
won't
December.
be here until next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Turns out wood's hard to find. Who knew? Who knew it's lumber's there's a shortage of it. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Zeke, you doing any house renovations? Any big moves on the house front?
It's funny that you ask because
Uh-oh. That sounds like a project that
um,
started.
well, I mean, not a project, but like um yeah, Scott said you don't want to be a part of, or don't you want to be a part of this homeowning conversation? I actually the house I've been renting, um they offered they said you could buy it if you want, and I said okay.
Nice.
So we just like that's all that's been said so far. Like we haven't had an appraiser or anything like that. Like oh, it's it's Cohh.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
dog.
Yeah, we haven't had the appraisal made or anything like that. It just I was just like, I agree, I will buy this. Like okay, we will sell it to you. All
Yeah.
right, this is a lot easier than going through the market and stuff when you have someone that owns the place that been living in.
Absolutely. Plus, it's a great time, right? Like this is when you want to buy
Yeah.
a house right now.
Mhm.
So you get
The housing market right now is insane. Like if you're not ready to buy instantly when you walk into the house, like you have almost no chance of getting it. They're going so fast everywhere.
yeah, yeah. It's nigh impossible to get a house.
We had to
actually.
do a full price offer on our house the day it was on the market, and we were pretty much told like if you had not done that, then that you would not have gotten the house.
Yeah, yeah. No haggling though. At least it was one and done, right? You put in the offer and they said yeah.
Yeah, we got really lucky.
Yeah, that's good.
For sure. But I mean, we're hearing like the same agent that we use is like what's generally happening, what's mostly happening is people are putting in offers. And then we got lucky because we put in an offer and they didn't have to do this, but the people that owned the house that we bought immediately accepted our offer. And that was on the first day. But my agent said what's mostly happening these days is houses will get toured on the first day. People will put in offers, and then the people that own the house that is getting sold is like, okay, let's just sit on this for a week or two. And then what happens is every person that comes in is just told, oh, there's already an offer on this house. And then all of a sudden it's just doom, 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 doom. And in the course of the week, it just goes up and up and up. And she said, houses are going for like 20 to 50% over their asking. Just because basically everyone took a year off moving. And now not only are you dealing with the people that want to move, but you're dealing with the people that have to move due to jobs and things like that. So the biggest bit of advice is do not buy a house that is inflated in price right now. Don't do it, because in another year from now, that price is going to go right back down. Another year or two. So yeah, do not be one of those people. It is not good.
Yeah. It's
if you can help it, of course.
Some people can't,
some
right?
People can't.
It's true. That's a true statement. So yeah.
How many does this make for you, Cohh? Like, how many houses?
How many what?
What did he own?
How many houses have you owned?
Have I owned?
Yeah.
This is going to be our third house right now that we've actually bought. We've rented a bunch of houses, rented many more than we've actually bought. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, yeah. I was just asking. And hopefully, this will be our first one. And it feels very strange. I thought I'd rent for the rest of my life. Honestly.
Yep. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That feeling doesn't go away.
Of it being weird. It's nice though. You can just put holes in walls and be like, "That's my wall, damn it."
That is very strange.
There's a nice thing about that.
I got a pole chainsaw.
Okay.
Just a little battery powered one to trim stuff.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there using it, and I went, I could just cut a hole in the siding right now, and just call it my hole. I can do that.
That's very true. Well, you don't own it yet.
I
would be careful. You don't own it yet.
Yeah, dude, wait until after you.
Wait until you sign the 4,000 pages of.
I haven't signed anything yet, so it's not mine technically yet.
Yeah,
you're right. Good call. I'll wait.
Yeah. Oh, you get to experience the COVID style of signing all those papers, which is generally done over a phone, but sometimes you might actually get someone to come out to your house. Did you have to go into an office, Cohh or Dan, to do that, or did you do it over the phone?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you went into an office.
You had to go into an office, and they had the whole COVID thing going on, and everyone had masks, and we were on different ends of a big table, all in the movies. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, we did.
It takes a long time.
We did a notary over the phone, and that was a really weird experience because you have to hold your driver's license up to a camera, and then flip it around, and then put a piece of paper up there and show that you signed it to the notary, and it's a little bit strange. But COVID continues to make things weird, and probably will for the foreseeable future. Anyways, we should probably talk about the video games. Not too much news the past 2 weeks. Cyberpunk put out a patch. I'm specifically bringing this up because I heard Cohh had a great rant about it, and I would love for him to divulge what the thoughts were on patch 1.3 that went up yesterday. Nothing new was introduced, right? This is just more bug fixes.
Well, a couple things. So here was where my big issue was. So I read over the patch notes. I caught the patch went up, I think when I was streaming, or I didn't have a lot of time to look at it.
Yeah.
So I looked over it, and I immediately got really excited because one of the biggest things I've wanted in Cyberpunk is they have crafted this beautiful world. I actually love just driving around it and listening to the radio. But the problem, the fundamental game design issue that they have put in this game is that the only way to properly maneuver this world when you're in a vehicle is by ignoring all the cool parts and all the cool things on the screen and just staring at the minimap. You basically just have to stare at the minimap. They should, of course, obviously, have a GPS overlay. Coming up to a turn and something flashes in the middle of the screen, turn I'm coming, like pretty much every other game of this caliber has.
Yeah.
So when I saw that they were putting in, as they say in the patches, GPS, I got super excited. I was finally, this works well. Maybe we'll do our playthrough in 1.3. I can't wait to just drive around this world how it's meant to be experienced. And I didn't have a chance to at the time, but I then later went back and watched the video. They have a little video, a little news clip, little news clip. And I said, oh, okay, let's take a look at this and see how it looks, right? I played through it once and I thought I was trolled because I was looking at it and it had a side-by-side comparison, and I'm looking in the middle of the screen and I'm like, is this a joke? Like, what's going on? Like, this is ridiculous. And then I watch it again, and that's when I look at the minimap. And what they have done for their GPS update is that now when you're in your car, the minimap zooms out a little bit more.
Oh, you mean, it doesn't change the size of it though, right? It just makes it
No.
so you can see around a little bit more.
There's no on-screen GPS. There's no like reason to continue looking at the middle of the screen. Like, you still have to stare at the minimap. It's still, and granted, zooming out the minimap is good. Like, that's a good fix, but that's like 5% of the GPS changes that they should put in this game. Maybe like 4%, let's be real. So I mean, it's not completely useless, the minimap, that's good. But at the same time, you still have to stare at it whenever you're driving around the city. So I got very, very frustrated with that, especially for the length of time that it took them to make a change like that. Like, we're talking about like 8 months now. And they actually advertise like GPS is now better with the minimap zooming out. Like I said on stream, like, dude, you give like a coder fresh out of college 15 minutes and point them at the part in your code where this happens, and they could have done that. Like, this is the smallest change. Like, it's nothing. It's meaningless. At the end of the day, like, I was really thinking that we were going to see like a big, cool, working, this is how it should be GPS system, and I was just really, really let down. Basically, all it does is you look at the minimap, and as the player meets X velocity, the minimap zooms out. That's basically about it. And apparently chat's saying it was already a mod. So I like how people are like, yeah, Cohh, let's talk about, like, the code base and all. Think about what's going on in this. Think about what's going on with that change. Seriously. It's literally a Z value retreating as another value goes up. Like, this isn't rocket science. I don't even know how to code. And I can tell you, it's not right. It didn't change any of the GPS code. It's still the same old GPS. I mean, this is basic stuff.
Someone in my chat saying the mod is actually better.
Saying, the devs mentioned how hard even the minimap improvement was to do because of the old console version limitations.
Is that going to be the excuse, though? That I don't.
If there are additional problems to that they had to overcome, that I would know nothing about. Full disclosure. But my point is that on the surface, let me say that, to a layman non-coder, it seems like an incredibly small, easy thing they did, and it seems like it took a lot of time to do, especially considering when you think about how much talent and the size of CDPR. It seems like a small change for how much they gave it. Is that better? Does that make more? Not to armchair code, but from the surface, it seems very tiny.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better? Okay.
It's tough.
So anyway,
it begs the question, how many people are working on this? One
saving grace. There's one little saving grace thing here. So I thought that 1.3 was going to be like a content upgrade. Like, I think I speak for a lot of us Cyberpunk. I'm going to go ahead and say it, Cyberpunk fans, because the game is decent. It just, again, needed like 2 more years of development.
Yeah.
I think I speak for a lot of Cyberpunk fans when I say that we're waiting for the patches that are going to add some of that stuff in that they promised that just didn't make it into the game. And I thought that this was going to be one of those patches, but then they released the patch notes, and it turns out they still had a huge amount of bugs to fix. 1.3 is not a content patch. It is the second large bug fix patch. And if you look at the patch notes, they are relatively astounding in their length and how much they have fixed. They're clearly doing a lot still on the game, and they have not yet started like that. They also said, apparently, I didn't see the Cyberpunk thing. I was doing something else at the time. But apparently they said in that the next patch is supposedly adding some of that content stuff that fans are looking for. So hopefully 1.4 won't be another like 4+ months. They did take a little bit of time between 1.2 and 1.3. But, for somebody who was expecting at least another 2 years of development in this game, realistically, like, we'll wait as long as we have to. But I very much hope the next patch is kind of like a let's put the best foot forward kind of situation.
Yeah. We had the conversation yesterday with my community, like, is this the full strength of like CD Projekt Red, or is the team already working on something else? Like what?
We know it's not.
Yeah.
The CDPR guys actually announced in a shareholder meeting a while back that they've already started the process of parallel development at the company. So they're going to be working on like multiple titles at the same time, which I have to admit is kind of absolutely hilarious, because it's like, you just spent 5 years working on one game and this is what happened. And now you're going to advertise that you're going to be doing this in parallel? Like,
Yeah.
what, like, who is going to hear that and go, oh, thank God, my wallet. Oh, awesome.
Well,
it's like,
I mean, why would you spend 5 years on one game when you can spend 12 years on two?
The math checks out.
I don't know, man. To this day, I'm still so weirdly confused by that announcement they made at that meeting. Cause like, it just, I don't know who heard that and just went, that's a great idea. Like,
Investors.
good calls.
And that's
CDPR.
it.
Even then though, like think if you put your money into CDPR and then the Cyberpunk fiasco happened, and then the people that you gave money to turned around and said, yeah, that was an absolute cluster, but we're going to have 2 of those in 5 years, not just one cluster, 2 of them. And you can give us your money for those too. And it's just like, I don't understand who at that point takes their checkbook out and starts writing a check.
Have they ever said if it was like if they made their money back? Did that story ever come out? If they made their money back on Cyberpunk or no?
I think there was a story saying that it was successful.
Okay.
I think in chat, help me out here. They did, yeah. I think they had one saying that like they did make it all back. But yeah, I think that even day one they're saying. But then again, like successful, and I'm talking about that in terms of the developers.
Yeah.
Since obviously that was a huge trade for all of the integrity the company had in the public capacity. But it's monetarily, I believe it was successful.
Yeah, it made a profit, which is, that's all the investors don't give a shit if the game's good, right? they just want a return on their money. Which is why I think the fact that they're doing dual development, they were probably like, okay, great. Maybe we'll recoup a little bit more next time around, but I don't know. It's kind of a mess. It is a mess. It's not kind of a mess. It is a mess.
It's a mess.
I actually was looking through the improvements of the 1.3 patch and going through them and go, like, honestly, a lot of them were like, yeah, oh yeah, about time. Like, there's some shit in there like that was super fucking just annoying. Just like you could get over it, but it was like super annoying. They fixed some shit that I remember going, why do they even do it like this? It's so stupid.
Oh, yeah. They added some new sorting features and stuff that were really good. Like there's, again, all the stuff we're seeing now is stuff that should have happened in development. Like this is all stuff that should have been done before the game came out.
Yeah.
It's good they're doing it. It's great they're doing it. It's just, by the time they're actually done with it, will there be enough people willing to give it a second chance? It's going to be the big question.
Yeah.
I'm still looking to see if they did any costume stuff. Like, did you see
No,
hear anybody?
They did add some free DLC, but there's no that's a big thing for me too. When I can play through Cyberpunk, and look the way I want to look, that's going to be a different game. That is going to be a different game. When you can play Cyberpunk and look like the Cyberpunk badass you've always imagined being, and still upgrade your gear and be stat okay for your level, that's going to be when the game is actually like, oh, cool, this is a game. This is cool. Okay, so like that's one of the pillar features I'm waiting for. And when they do that, like that's going to be game changing.
Playing the Ascent, your outfit changes with like what armor, what clothes you have, right? Like it does change, but they give you a little bit of your own touch to it because they keep like the base colors, the secondary color, and stuff like that. So it looks like I picked fuchsia, of course, because that's my style. So like, but every piece I got had like fuchsia main color and whatever I picked. I can't remember what I picked for the secondary color, but every piece I picked had that same kind of like motif to it.
Sure.
So it looked like it matched a little bit. And I gotta say, like the armor they picked was pretty cool in the game, but and it's just it just made me go back to Cyberpunk. Like, man, I had fun playing this game. If they like did the shit that everybody's been talking about, man, this would be like a game for all time.
Yeah, and
I'm
we
still
all
waiting
hope it's
for
going to get there one day. Go ahead.
I'm hoping they do with Cyberpunk what they did with the Witcher series, which is released later down the line, a couple years, an enhanced edition, where they go back and they do a massive overhaul of everything and then re-release it with all these things in there. And I hope we get cosmetic slots and like the fixed GPS and all the bug fixes that they're doing now. And I hope that second launch is the game that we were all hoping for.
Yeah.
They definitely missed the mark and took a hit on the reputation for this one. But
yeah.
I'm praying that the enhanced edition later down the line is going to be the Cyberpunk we all were wanting at launch.
We'll see. I mean, better. They would love to charge you more for the same game, right? So that's the new thing. They're probably into that. Has the modding scene? Because I didn't realize that there was that big of a modding scene for it. But have they done anything significant in terms of like costumes or? Apparently this GPS thing was already a mod, so it seems like they kind of took the idea from that. But have you guys looked at any of the mods out there for the game? Are any of them actually worth it?
I've been talking a lot, so
I think you might be the only one that's checked it out. Unless
I'm not a modder.
Oh, you just play vanilla. That makes sense.
Modders can do a lot of things without mod tools, but I'm not sure if they've released mod tools and if they have, how strong they are. For The Witcher, they released very strong tools, and they were able to do very extensive mods that would completely overhaul all the combat system in the game for The Witcher 3. So if they release strong mod tools, the modders will go through and add in all this stuff that they can't do themselves if they have a small team. And they could just steal those mods and put it right into the game by copying whatever they did. And that would save them a lot of dev time. Like if they just release the mod tools, so many things could get fixed really quickly because there's a very passionate fan base out there waiting and ready to mod the game to make it the way they want. Just look at Skyrim, how like 10 years later, they're still releasing mods that drastically overhaul that game because the tools they released were so strong that people were able to mod it extensively for years after.
Right. Exia in my chat says there's 1,900 mods right now on Nexus Mods for Cyberpunk. So there's a fair amount. Who knows how many of those are actually quality? But yeah, what were we gonna say, Zeke?
Has that always been like a net gain for the game to have mod tools out? Like just let people go crazy?
It depends on the game, I guess, and it depends what you would classify net gain as. I think
meaning
Skyrim,
like does it make them more money? Like
hard to. I would say that's hard to quantify, but if it does fix things, and if it does introduce, like I think in the case of Skyrim, right? Like people have made. Cohh was talking about that game last week. That was a Skyrim mod that became its own game, right? So that definitely sold. Yeah, that definitely sold copies of Skyrim when it was on there, right? It just depends. It depends on the game, I guess.
By the way, little thing, because it's important for full disclosure. I think you mentioned there's 1,900 Cyberpunk mods. It is important to mention that 1,869 of those are actually nude mods.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, I didn't. I wasn't going to go there. You're also probably 90% of the Skyrim mods. Dan, I think Dan and I can both speak to really how in depth those nude mods get.
Yes, Schlongs of Skyrim is the most important immersion mod you can have.
That's not a joke. That's actually a mod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Now, does it just
check that one out? Do you recommend it? Is it good?
It's very good. It's kind of hard to get used to, but you get used to it after a little while.
Yeah, it's also just kind of hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like I picture it like walking into like, if you go to a gym and you walk into the guy's locker room and you're just like, oh right, I'm gonna see penises now. Okay, it's like it just takes some getting used to.
Yeah,
it's like when you install the mod, you're like, oh shit, there's dicks everywhere now. Okay, yeah, just got to adjust.
The sky.
Now, if there was a Cyberpunk mod like to switch, like the head and the crotch, that I would go for, or like the face and the crotch.
Sure, that's an easy
Everybody
one.
Just walking around with
like an elephant kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like Gonzo.
That's actually what happened to Gonzo. Someone looked at that and said, what if we switch the face and the dick? And they're like, that's a Muppet. That's what they did. Jim Henson is like, sign me the fuck up. I'm in.
We got to make it blue, though. We got to make it a color like its skin tone, like nobody, so it doesn't ever look like anybody's penis.
Yep.
Okay. But we'll know. We'll know. Right.
The Blue Man Group got inspiration from somewhere, right? That's where it all started. Yeah. So that's Cyberpunk. That's where they're at right now. And then this is I don't even know if this is a story. It's the type of thing for me. This is, I learned this information yesterday when IGN published it, and it kind of just blew my mind that developers can be left in the dark this much. And also that it came across as like, they're not demanding anything. They're not upset, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So yesterday, IGN reported that the Outriders dev, and when I say dev, I want to clarify because I was confused until I read the full story. We're talking about People Can Fly, not a singular dev. We're talking about the developers of the game, People Can Fly. They say they don't know how many copies of the game have sold, and that it has not earned any royalties from the game, which then suggests it hasn't been profitable for publisher Square Enix. That's a Rami question. I don't expect you guys to know the answer, but like, isn't that surprising that developers don't know how their game is doing from the publisher? That seems bizarre as hell.
Not when they're under the thumb of Square Enix as much as People Can Fly are. I mean, they're a nearly first party. Like they basically made it just for Square Enix at their behest. And from what I understand, Square Enix like funded most of it. So it's the kind of thing where I think Square Enix probably sees it as their game.
Sure.
And it may be an Epic situation where they just paid them a large amount of raw funds to develop the game and then kind of said, we're going to run with it and do our own thing. But also we know that Square Enix, remember, I think we talked about on the show, didn't Square Enix publicly say that Outriders was a big success and that it
had like, 3.5 million that first week or something, right? Because
yeah,
it was also on
like
Game
they
Pass,
said at one point publicly that it had met expectations or something, right? So with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, also, I'll be blunt. I would not be surprised if Square Enix was a little unhappy with People Can Fly. Specifically, I mean, like People Can Fly took something that could have been like pretty cool and kind of drove it into the ground and ruined it. Like Outriders could have been good. It was actually relatively well received in the first few days. And then the giant bug from beta came up, and then People Can Fly tried to fix it and made it worse. And then like weeks went by and nothing happened. And then they said, oh, all you people that got your gear raised, we may not be able to give it back. And then it just got like worse and worse. And Square Enix the whole time was just watching this fire in front of them like, ha, 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 ha.
True.
So, I mean, they basically destroyed the entire franchise. And like nobody that we could have been like talking about being actually excited to hear more about Outriders. And now everyone's like, didn't that game fail? Isn't that like another Anthem? Yeah. Like it's been completely ruined. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of like in cut our losses mode.
Yeah, it was a strange story because, like I said, the actual quote from the executive, whose name I will absolutely not butcher, Sebastian something.
W.
Yeah, it starts with a W. Let's just go with Sebastian W. Thank you.
Just say Krzyzewski.
There you go. He says, we don't have any sales
the
figures.
Duke coach?
Have you seen his name? He has no vowels in there either.
We don't have any sales figures for Outriders. We estimated at between 2 and 3 million units and assumed that this was a result that would ensure profitability for this project in the first quarter of sales. The lack of payment by the publisher probably means that, according to Square Enix, that is not the case. He would also go on to state that they are currently working on... I'll just read the full quote. He says, working with a publisher has many advantages, but also its disadvantages. One of them is the low impact of People Can Fly on sales activities and the incompleteness, or in this case, the lack of data obtained from the publisher in this regard. This is one of the reasons why, apart from working with publishers, we have decided to develop projects whose IP will remain the property of the company, or the capital C, so very legal speak, and which will be published by the company. I think he goes on to say that they're currently working with 2 other publishers as well as one of their own games in terms of IP. So they're staying busy, I guess, but it was just a strange story and a little bit eye-opening to me, and maybe naive of me to think that, that there was such communication behind the scenes.
Well, to a degree, we're all talking from a point of complete naivete because we have no
Totally.
idea what the relationship is like between People Can Fly and Square Enix. Especially, considering maybe it's the kind of thing where they were told up front that they were never going to be told that information, and it was, we don't, we have no idea. So it could be totally par for the course and things could be going as normal. And, we're just kind of taking it out of context.
Yeah. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. But those are kind of the two biggest news stories over the past 2 weeks. Of course, all that Blizzard stuff still raging on it's been really weird watching, not weird, but it's interesting to see Diablo 2 kind of go into beta and that kind of do well on Twitch and blow up on Twitch. I think SkillUp had a pretty interesting series of tweets where I think, like myself, he isn't sure how to like cover that game or how to discuss that game, right? Because you don't want to do the thing where you're promoting a game in a company who's currently in the state that Activision Blizzard is, but you also don't want to fuck over the actual devs that worked on it, who probably, aren't complete awful people. And he kind of put the question out there, like, what are other content creators doing? How do you do this? I think he settled on the idea of like, he's going to cover it. He's going to play the game, but every time he does, he's going to mention the, absurdity of everything else going on at the company. And I think I generally agree with that sentiment, but I'm also just not super interested in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So if I don't play it, I'm not going to feel like I'm missing out on anything at this point. It's really crazy to see them just continue to push on with that. But I guess you have to, right? Like you're not just going to halt all things running at the company from a business standpoint to continue with that.
Are you into D2 there, Dan?
I played the alpha before all this stuff came out, and if you played Diablo 2, it's Diablo 2 just prettier and runs like at high frame rate. You're really not. There's nothing new. It's just pretty and runs good. So if you like me, like I started playing it, I'm like, well, this is just Diablo 2. I love the game, but I played it like so many times that it just got a little old after a while. But
yeah,
even with the new pretty graphics on there, it still feels old. But one big controversy there is that they're taking away the direct peer-to-peer connections from the game. So some of the
promising
mods
they would be in.
Yeah, they promised they would be in, and now some of the mods won't work because they required you to do that on the online.
That's right.
And that's kind of and they've been very hush-hush about that, but people are not liking that part of it.
Right.
And a lot of people are staying away because of that.
Yeah, they're taking away the
and
land
one very
functionality.
unfortunate thing is that it was found buried inside of like an FAQ or something. They didn't make the announcement that it wasn't going to be in, that they were going back on it. It just says like at the bottom of an FAQ where it's like, will there be TCP? No, unfortunately, due to limitations of blah, 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 blah. And they just kind of like put it in there, kind of slide it in, hoping no one will notice after making the big public promise. So, yeah.
So what does that mean for someone like who is not like myself? Like, what was the promise?
You can't.
So
you have to be online.
TCP/IP is direct connection. So it basically, back in the day, it was how you would play a lot of multiplayer games, and that's the only way you would play them, is you would actually like get someone's IP and you would connect to them, and then you would like do that thing. So it was a big deal when they were bringing back Diablo 2 that they were going to bring that functionality back as well. Well, for reasons we don't know, they have since completely gone back on that. And after making a big promise, like, oh yeah, of course it'll be in there, now they kind of slid in there. Actually, no, it's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think.
Wait, somebody said TCP/IP is gone, but there's still no server required. I don't know about that. I don't know enough about how Diablo 2 works.
I thought the story was everything you just said, but also the fact that you had to like make an online connection to play. Have they clarified otherwise?
You could either play direct connection, which is basically like remote LANing, like where you're like connecting your computer through someone else's, but it's not as very secure like a lot of connections require you to be nowadays. But
yeah,
they want you to only go through battle.net, which some of the mods that for multiplayer don't work with that connection. They only work when you're playing directly with each other. So those type of mods won't be able to work on the remake, and a lot of people are mad about that.
And just to be clear, the person I read in chat actually was agreeing with me that it means no servers required. So that's
okay.
Yeah, everything Dan just said is accurate.
Cool.
100%.
When you say mods won't be compatible, you're talking about mods for the older game. to this game. Is that what you're saying?
They had promised that all the old mods would work with the modern game, but because of
okay.
that change, some of those mods that require direct connections will not work.
Gotcha. Okay.
Other ones will work, you know.
I feel like I'm caught up now. And for anyone else who's dumb like me, you're welcome.
There you go.
Zeke's here representing every man.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Dan, I'm gonna take this opportunity because the three of us I don't think are the biggest Pokemon fans, so it would generally be a dead conversation. Did you see this Pokemon Legends trailer from this morning? Have you watched this yet?
I woke up late, so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but people are apparently freaking out about that. It's supposed to be awesome.
You want to watch it?
Sure.
Can we get some live reactions here from?
Yes.
Let's watch it.
Yes.
Pokemon correspondent Dan S. Sebastian Gaming here with it. Wait, is that what it is?
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the middle name we made up.
I remember being in the playground, 7th grade, connecting our little Game Boy Colors together and trading and battling on the playground while people make fun of us. There's my cred.
Let's do this. There we go. Can you guys hear it?
Ooh.
Oh, you guys can't hear it
No.
at all.
No. There we go.
There we go.
Those look beautiful for being on the Switch.
That's right. Forgot about that.
I can hear the pen against the paper of the Nintendo lawyer DMCAing JP right now.
Yes,
Absolutely
very accurate. Very accurate. Yeah. Well, that's another YouTube
You listen
video
carefully.
to claim for the day. We'll collect our 30 cents.
Looks super Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mini game to catch them. It just catches them. Oh, here we go.
Ooh, no loading screen for battles?
I mean, come on, JP. You think you're gonna catch a Growlithe without a fight? You're dreaming, pal.
I guess. I don't. You know more than I do. I don't know that's a Growlithe. Oh, you can fly. Why does that bird have like sunglasses?
It's its plumage, JP. It's how it attracts a mate. God.
When you have over 1,000 Pokemon, you got to start making stuff up and just doing weird stuff.
Got it. Is that a Bidoof? Did I get that correct? Nope.
I think so.
Oh my God! I pulled that one out of my ass.
I think it's
Oh, that's a Stantler. Okay.
Stantler.
Obviously.
Great name.
Damn, that bear was pissed off.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You're evil
Someone's about
now.
to come in a
Dark
coffee,
Pokemon.
man.
Oh, I'm blocking the. There's Pokeballs behind me, chat.
Not gonna lie, I was digging those drums.
That's Dan's face after the trailer. Not actual gameplay footage is what it says.
Oh, okay. The anime. Okay. I was like, what? What was that then?
All of that was conceptual, high concept stuff.
There you go. Dan, what do you think? What's your hot takes? January.
Yeah, what am I
28th.
excited about?
That looks cool. Like if you can, like, there's gonna be mount Pokemon and Pokemon you can fly with, and there's like open world battles. There's only one thing about it that makes me not super excited, and that it is gonna play on the Switch, and it's gonna probably not run great. And I wish it was on PC the whole time I'm playing, but it looks like a good Pokemon game. Just I wish there was a Switch Pro coming out with better graphics. That's all. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Well, it's January. We can get back on the
Yeah.
copium train and hope they make an announcement of a new suck in the copium.
Okay, let's hope. Suck in the copium.
You never know. We've got the Game Awards. There could be an announcement. Gamescom is next week. There could be an announcement. You never know.
Yeah.
You never
Could
know.
launch it just before. You never know.
Yeah. Weird. Pokemon continues to like it, I feel like Pokemon games have always been on like one graphic like if you think of the current the state of graphics of video games, Pokemon's always like one step back from that, but it's still like people don't care.
Yeah.
It still sells.
Yeah,
Like
they've been on Game Boy most of their
it's
life,
gameplay,
so
man.
yeah.
yeah. It's all the people go crazy for the Pokemon. Did you play Pokemon Unite at all, by the way, Dan? Did you check that out? The MOBA?
Oh, the MOBA. No, I haven't checked it out, but it looked. My boyfriend Kevin plays it all the time, and
Yeah.
he loves it and says it's like super fun.
It's not
And
bad.
yeah,
I put
it's very unbalanced, but it's super fun.
I put like 2 hours into it and beat up some supposed 10-year-olds, and then they started beating me up, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm not going to take this,
Yep.
10-year-olds. You win. I closed down my Switch.
Is it like pretty simplified?
Yes.
Or excuse me, when compared to other MOBAs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's a lot of like mechanics in the game that, you know, you can play. I think each game takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And, you know, you can be winning for the first like 5 or 10, at least in some of the lower ranked matches. Who knows? If I don't know if this is in like the higher tier stuff. You can be winning for the first like 5 or 6 minutes. And then there is certain mechanics in the map that you can go and like win or take over and just absolutely come back very easily.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of back and forth in that regard, I guess.
yeah. There's a few Pokemon people complain about like completely swing the game at the end, and like the first part doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It's easy to understand. Like I looked at it, I'm like, I get how this works. This makes sense. I could play this and know how to play it. It's like it doesn't seem very complex.
Right.
Like I look at Smite or League of Legends, I don't know what's happening. I don't know with the items and the going back and forth. But this was very simple.
Totally. They dumbed down the mechanics enough that it's very approachable for all. But I think if you want to like really get into it and play at the hardcore level, you can also do that as well, for the most part. And it's free. You can download it for the Switch. I think it's still in beta. I think it's still ongoing.
Oh, it's free?
Yeah, it's a free game.
Yep.
It's a free to play game. So
That's cool.
to classify.
They got some very expensive cosmetics and stuff. That's where they get their money. But yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't even require Nintendo Online. So you don't even have to have a sub to their online thing. And Chad is also telling me it's pay to win now. I thought that was, is it pay to win / debatable, or is it just straight up pay to win? Or is that
So you're
always
end of the
debatable?
round, and it says, "Would you like to buy your victory for $12.99?" You hit that button, and then boom, victory screen. Congratulations, you get a Pokemon ball. Yep, good.
Need to skip.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of those things where it's debatable. Although I guess maybe it always is that topic is always debatable. So I don't know. Go check it out for yourself. We're not Pokemon Unite.
Well, the
fan base.
difference for me is the difference between pay to win and not. The biggest difference is, can you get all of the stuff that you can pay to get early? Can you get it all just by playing the game?
Sure.
Right? If it's an exclusive thing that you have to buy, that seems like that's pay to win. Like pay to speed up is different to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Chad is saying yes, you can get it all. It just takes a very long time. They time gate all that stuff, I guess. Yeah.
That's nothing new.
No, absolutely not. As someone
My
who's
side question is,
been deep in the mobile games, that's not new at all.
yeah. See, people think pay to speed up is pay to win. Okay, I mean,
It
if
can
that,
be.
I don't. That's I don't believe that, or I don't agree with that. But I mean, I can see your point.
Well, no, it depends on the context. Like one of the reasons that New World got in such hot water is they had pay to speed up leveling in a game that
PvP.
features world PvP. And
Right.
it's like in that case, it's like you're literally speeding up the leveling process, and those players will be higher level than the other players. But I mean, that's its whole different can of worms, especially considering the level scaling is apparently super weird, and higher level players are less powerful than lower level players in some circumstances. So it's it's a whole different thing, though. But anyway, it's contextual. It becomes contextual. But
Right.
when you start talking about pay to progress, it's very much a per game thing.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's just,
Arcade
it's just
was
saying.
another good example.
I understand that, like, it's like, you know, it's a spectrum or whatever. Like, pay to win has different, you know, varying degrees. But just, I mean, calling it that, it just gives it, like, it just immediately turns people off. Like, it's pay to win. You're like, oh, fuck it, not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, but
Pay
then
to
you
win.
explain a little more, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, this is gray but acceptable kind of shit. You know, I've been, you know, involved in games like that before.
There
And no
are
one Twitch
games
chat.
like
I know in Twitch chat, like having any sort of cosmetic or any in-game store automatically is pay to win, no matter what's in there. Like it
Very
just,
true.
it just shot that, you know.
What were you gonna say, Cohh?
Different topic. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to say, like these days, pay to win generally means that it has to be something you can buy to make you stronger. Like World of Tanks, when it came out, had a special kind of golden ammunition. You could only get it by paying money, and it was stronger than regular ammunition. That is pay to win. Some Korean MMOs are overtly pay to win. Ones right now, like you can just buy battle potions and things that make your character stronger in the game. So you know, like it's a small thing, but it's an important distinction if you're actually talking about it.
There's a much larger story that I don't think I have the capacity to cover because I don't know all the facets of it regarding you brought up World of Tanks. Their community creators are they have completely said fuck off and just left that company behind due to some recent changes within the game. So if
Folks
you're at
are
all
talking about this
curious,
in my chat.
yeah, if you're at all curious,
I
definitely
don't know
go check
anything
out
about
the
it.
story. I've covered it a little bit, but I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently, and I don't want to misrepresent the story. So I will simply say, definitely go check it out if you have played World of Tanks or you have any interest in it. As I think some of the biggest content creators for that game have basically said we're done and have just straight up left, and have made very public outcries for leaving. So not so good situation over there. The last bit of news, well, not necessarily news, 12 Minutes comes out this week. The review embargo is up. And from what I read very briefly, it seems very split. People either really like that game or really not like that game.
I saw your tweet, which had a bunch of really high review scores and was like, cool. And then like literally the next tweet on my timeline was SkillUp being like, yeah, it was kind of cool, but it got really lame quick. And it's just like,
yep. I saw the inverse of that. I saw SkillUp's quote tweeted that. It was like, oh, fuck. And then I saw the reviews and I was like, but wait, maybe. Like, I don't know. I think we're all going to play it regardless. But
12 Minutes. 12 Minutes is an FMV game, features Willem Dafoe. Supposedly it's like a Groundhog Day style, like it repeats. And this is totally a Zeke game. It's called a Zeke game if you're wondering what the genre is. And it's supposedly kind of cool. Like people are saying it's kind of fun. I think it's one of those games that's kind of novel. So if you enjoy the novel element of it, it'll probably be a lot more enjoyable to you. But if you've done a bunch of games like it before, then it may seem kind of routine.
Yeah.
It's not I'm going to be trying it. It comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not FMV.
It's not FMV. No, it's also on Game Pass.
It has just a lot of like
that was totally my fault.
Notable voices.
Yep. Yeah. Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, and Willem Dafoe are the voice cast.
Is there another FMV game coming out or something?
I don't know.
I'm excited for it.
I'm ready.
I like the games where you like you go through and like you get to repeat the same day over and over again, like the Outer Wilds and Majora's Mask. Those styles are really fun.
Yeah.
Some people and I think some reviewers just aren't really into that kind of thing, and that will like skew a review. Because views are very personal.
Yeah,
I think it'll probably be better than some of these reviews are saying.
I'll be honest with you, like the fact that I think the most exciting news I can get for a game that I haven't played yet, review wise, without actually reading the reviews, is Split. I love it when it's like not like meh, but like we loved it, we hated it because that must mean there's something memorable in there. There's something memorable about it. If you really didn't like it or you really, really liked it, it's got to have some good qualities, maybe some bad qualities, but like that excites me. Like if it was just like super good reviews, sometimes it's like it means it's good reviews because it's a game that with no specificity. It's just like good all the way around, you know? I mean, it's rare when I really get into a game like that.
Sure.
That has good reviews across the board. But if it's split, sometimes I'll be like hating it with everybody else, but a lot of times I'll just be like, this is I get why people hate it, but
it's your jam. Yeah.
yeah.
The Open
I've had
Critic
many games like that.
Yeah, I think we all have. The Open Critic is 25 reviews with 78 average right now, 67% recommend it. So, and it is all over the place. I'm seeing a bunch of 8, 9s. PC Gamer, I think, is one of the lowest. They gave it a 53 out of 100 for that. Let me see if there's any other low ones. Yeah, a bunch of 9s and 10s as well. So we'll see. Like I said, it's out on Game Pass, I think, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific is when that launches. So if you got Game Pass, you can check it out.
The Steam tags, man.
Oh, what are the
Adventure,
Steam tags?
bing,
Okay.
indie, bing, violent, bing, sexual content, bing, 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 gore, bing, 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 bing.
It's made for you, Zeke.
Yeah,
I know. I love all those things all at once.
yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk games. That's enough news for now. I've seen both Cohh and Dan check this game out, and from the clip/seconds of footage that I've seen, I know you can gamble at a slot machine, but nothing good ever comes out of it. And I know that there's a train, and you can kind of swim through the air. So, what the hell's Voidtrain? Dan, we'll start with you. How's Voidtrain going? How you liking it? What do you think?
Voidtrain is on the right track to be a great
Nice
game.
Ah,
And,
He's been saving that all day.
Yeah,
Saving that all day. Yeah.
It's a game that where you are on like a little trolley at first, sort of like Raft. You're on a little thing. You move on a rails forward, and then the basic premise: you gather resources, build up your base, and then your moving base, and then as you get more research and stuff unlocked, more things unlock. You can do more stuff. Overall, it's still early. There's a lot of like placeholder stuff in the game, like the combat's a little iffy, and there's a little like some parts of the game are you can tell haven't like had a lot of work done on compared to others. But it's a very good start. You'll get several hours of gameplay out of it, and I think it's like the game Raft, but it goes even further and goes in a different direction than Raft, where it has more of a story. Like the basic premise is that you are in this void, but Nazis have been here before you, and they are
fucking Nazis
here, and you
man.
have to fight them as well because they've been in here and they're bad because they're Nazis, and you have to shoot them all and take over their bases and stop them from doing whatever they're doing here. It's a mystery of like why they're in here, and you had to get in here by accident. And I thought it's really fun. It's very early, and it's hard to recommend it to people who are impatient about like they don't want to like run out of content or you can't deal with some bugs and stuff. But it's gonna be great. I can tell that in the future is going to be a fantastic game. It's got so many good ideas already that are already implemented. But if you can handle early access games, you can be a little bit patient with bugs and stuff. I think a lot of people have a lot of fun with this one.
I have a question, Dan.
Yes.
Do the Nazis like? Do they seem relevant? Like, it couldn't be anything else. It had to be Nazis. I'm just curious because it seems like they get thrown in a lot.
Like they had to have a villain.
There's Nazis in lots of games.
I don't think there's enough of the story in the game yet to know like.
I thought you were like
it's
looking
Nazis
out for Nazis or
why we're in there.
No. I'm just. It seems like I'm just.
Where you were going.
I'm fed like zombies. Like I'm fed up with Nazis
really
and
that bad?
zombies. Nazi zombies. I'm fed up with all that shit.
Overused.
Can you come up with a better bad guy?
Overused. Yes.
Yes.
They're overused. And they literally could have made these like space guys, but like they wanted a villain that was rooted in the real world. That came into here during the time period, which is at the end or during the beginning of World War II. It was so that was the biggest villain in the world at that time was the Nazis, so they put them in here. But if you move the time period,
Yeah, how about
you change the villain.
anti-vaxxers? How about that? Can we
Yeah.
put those in the game?
Goddamn anti-vaxxers and their void
Sorry.
trains. Jesus.
Yeah, taking over in the future.
It's just too far, man. When are they going to stop?
Actually, no, they probably haven't taken over in the future. I'll be honest with you.
A little short-lived.
Sorry, Dan.
No, you're fine. It's the not like there's not enough of the story in the game yet to know where it's going, so we can't really tell like if the Nazis are the best villain that they could have put in there or not, because there's just not enough story in the games. It's just not done yet.
Okay.
But it
Got
makes
it.
sense in the beginning about why you're in there and why the Nazis are in there. But we don't really have enough of background of who your character is and what's happening and stuff. But I'm sure over time they will flesh out the full story and it'll make more sense. But they just had to have a villain, and that's the villain they went with.
Yeah. Is this like a grappling hook, or is this?
Yeah, it's a grappling hook. You can grab stuff and pull them into your train. You can also, there's another thing that lets you hitch to rocks and like go rappel to them.
Oh.
So you're not like stuck on the train the whole time. There are ways to go away from the train sometimes.
What's the deal with the flying? Can you just fly anywhere? Do you have like limited resource of flying? Like, how does that work?
There's only gravity on the train. When you leave the train, you're floating like in Subnautica or in water. It's just walk around. There's no air, so you don't have to worry about breathing.
That's
so you
nice.
can just float around. Well, once you get to the train, you sort of suck back into it, and gravity turns back on.
There is a tether though, and you always
Yeah.
have to be tethered to the train. There is no free flying.
Oh.
And then
Yeah.
later in the game, you can get the ability to tether onto like other objects, and you can actually put your own tethers down and kind of work your way around. But you always have to be basically anchored to something. So if you're going in a straight line between two places, you go to the end of your tether, then you fire it at another place, and then you can go around that, and you fire it to another place. It's kind of like Spider-Man-y.
Yeah.
Okay. Are those enemies? Like what is the, are you fighting things? Like what's the fear in this game? Or is it a collect thing where you don't really have very much?
There's two villains that I found, at least in my playthrough so far. That's when you're on the train, there's like a shark that flies around and will like harass you sometimes. If you kill it, it goes away until you get to what's called the stations, which are in between. Basically you're on the track to hit a station, and then you go in the station, then you have a shootout with Nazis, and then you go back onto the train again. So it's either shooting Nazis with your guns or the shark harassing your ship, and also there's these little like arena modes where you can fight little aliens with your gun, where they send waves of little crawly aliens that shoot fireballs at you and stuff.
Okay.
As I said, that the combat is still kind of rough, and it needs some polish passing and some stuff, but it's a cool idea what they have going.
Yeah. Cohh, any differing opinions, thoughts on the game that Dan didn't cover? What do you think about Voidtrain?
I definitely, it's very much Raft on rails, both literally and figuratively. It's like basically it's the best way I can say this game is, people ask me all the time, what is this game? This game is Raft plus Breath Edge. If you ever played a game called Breath Edge, it is essentially Raft plus Breath Edge. It has the funny narrator, it has the humorous story, it's got the kind of you have a base that moves with you, and the loot kind of comes to you, and you kind of do your thing. In Raft, you build like radars and stuff and seek out islands. In this game, every region is basically like it's like a stretch of railroad, and then at the end of the region, you get sucked into a depot. And the depots you can like build onto your train, so you can actually add new train tracks. You can put modules on, or excuse me, new train cars. You can extend out train cars. You can put new modules on them. Railing. You can make it like actual cars instead of just flat beds. All sorts of stuff. And there's generally like a bunch of Nazis in those depots that you have to take out first, because Nazis. I can just imagine Zeke earlier. Everyone asks why Nazis, but not how are the Nazis. But
I was looking through my chat like while that was going. Like I went back and looked, and everybody was like, Zeke a Nazi apologist?
Yeah,
no,
that's how I took it, dude.
Cut it out. Cut it out. Like
When he said
no,
that, I
no,
immediately-
I
felt my face get a little red. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. I got to clarify this real quick.
No, I'm just saying with
He's saying that Nazis are
imagination-
zombies. It's just an overused
with
gameplay
imagination
trope. That's
as your
all it
only
is.
Yeah.
limit, we can come up with different bad guys.
Yeah.
You know,
But
the Nazis
where-
are zombies.
where-
Like
Sure.
like in Raft, I feel like Raft is Raft. People kept asking me all the time. Also, like, would you recommend this or Raft? And the short answer is both of them are not done. But Raft is much further along in terms of not only offering what you can do, but bug fixes. And Raft has been under development for years longer. Like in Raft, you kind of like go on this journey, and then you build your little radar, and then you find islands. And then eventually you get islands that are like big, unique story islands, and you explore those, and that leads you to the next island and stuff like that. This game is like that, except there's no big story islands yet. So it's got all the components of the fun journey, the like between gameplay, the kind of meta gameplay. But because the game just came out into early access, they're not even releasing it for a year, we don't yet have any of that, like Dan was saying, there's none of that story meat yet. It's just kind of like the connective material between what's going to be and that kind of thing. It is doing some fun things though. So like for instance, later in the game, slightly spoilery, but it's a gameplay mechanic. So later in the game, you can get an item that kind of links to your train, and it makes it so the next time you go out into the void, you can make it more difficult, but have more benefits. And you can have like 3 different modifiers, almost like a map in Path of Exile. And you can mix and match the modifiers to make it so like there's going to be more loot, but you have to deal with 2 sharks. Or,
the
there's going to be a
pack
bunch
in,
more of...
Hades, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It makes it more difficult, but at the same time, it like gives you like, you get more metal spawns, you get more bio spawns and stuff like that. So it's a very cool premise. There's a lot of things in this game that you can tell once the final vision is done is going to be very cool. And also at the point of the game that I'm at, I'm just starting to see like some of the creativity stuff that they're adding in, like beds and tables and lamps. And it looks like that they're expecting you to really have a lot of creative building potential in the game, which could just make it even cooler. So yeah, it's kind of fun. Also, Dan just put down a borrowed from Sea of Thieves. There are these little places you can go to off the rails. So you can kind of like throw down anchors and anchor yourself to these really weird areas in the void where there are these puzzles. When you solve the puzzles, then you get a chest. You have to pick that up, bring it back to your train, and then finish that area to the next depot. And then you can only open the chests in the depots. So pretty much
cool.
ripped right out of Sea of Thieves, but it works well.
Yeah.
Also important to mention, I think me and Dan are both playing solo, but you can play up to 4 people. So it is a multiplayer experience for those that want to play it that way.
Does the I guess this is a question to chat. Does multiplayer work well? Have you guys seen any reports of it performing poorly or anything like that? Okay.
No.
See,
I haven't heard any reports at all.
I Imagine says multiplayer is not good. Hard desyncing is what they're saying. Which, I hate to say it, but that's pretty common for a lot of games, especially this early on. I would hope that they figure that stuff out.
It's just so early in development too. Like that stuff is going to take a while
for sure. I think Rami has always said that like getting the internet to work in video games is very difficult. So hopefully that stuff gets ironed out over the course of development. It's currently $30. I think it's an Epic Game Store exclusive at the moment, but it does have a Steam store page. So I guess they will eventually release on Steam.
When the game eventually comes out, it will be out on Steam as well.
Okay.
Yes.
$30.
Or you can buy it on Epic. And by the way, if you use the code DansGaming,
nice.
You can get a little bit of a. I hope it's DansGaming. Is it actually DansGaming?
Yes, it is.
And
it's spelled EZEKIEL_III. It's a weird spelling, just like Shashevsky.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's French. It's French.
Yeah, that's the
just phonetically spell Shashevsky, and it'll be just fine. Just pop that in there, no problem, easy. That's JKYLPXVT the number 2 L and an @ sign for those that are following along at home.
Yeah, I stopped.
It's also my password. Funny enough.
Gotta change that quick. Cool.
Yeah.
That is the old Voidtrain. What else has been going on? There's actually been a decent amount of kind of indie stuff. And also, I guess Cohh, would you say Humankind is AA? What do you, where do you, what type of game is Humankind? Because we're going to talk about it. It's a game. I know that.
I have done I've done a sponsored stream of Humankind,
Okay.
and I'm also in the game as
Okay.
an avatar. I have to say, I went into Humankind with expectations, and I left with those expectations being met. Humankind is like Civilization Light or Civilization Arcade. It is a little bit more kind of like game. This is going to sound kind of weird, but bear with me.
Okay.
It's a little bit more of like a gameplay focused Civilization game, where Civ games are much more kind of like simulatory and like trying to give you lots of options that kind of make it feel more realistic. Humankind is a similar type of game, but I feel like it's made more to cater to the actual gameplay of that game. There's lots of options. You can do lots of different things with your civilization. You can kind of customize the AI to do different things. There's buildings, units, all the normal things you'd find in a 4X game, but they're all kind of like streamlined and adapted just for this rule set to kind of keep pushing you through the ages, let you be competitive against the other people, the diplomacy stuff, and things of that nature. I only played it for a couple hours, and in the
Real
couple
quick.
hours, I felt like I kind of barely scratched the surface. What's up?
What is 4X?
4X games are like big 4X strategy games. So they're
Okay.
games that I can't remember the exact thing. I want to say it's like explore, expand. Cat, help me out here. There's like a
Exterminate
that is-
and yeah.
It's lingo that I. Okay, cool.
yeah. It's a genre essentially, a type of game.
I hesitated
Explore,
asking that 'cause
expand,
I didn't want to look like
exploit,
an asshole.
exterminate.
Ah, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
Cool.
That's
That's
the
the
big
four.
thing. So, and Hell's Whiskers also says exfoliate. Those that care about their skin.
You
as
have to
well.
make
So
sure.
That's good too. That's the
Always.
5X. Yeah, have
It's
to make
important.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a if you like strategy games, I feel like it could be a good game to check out for sure. It's also a day one Game Pass game, so definitely that should be your go to if you want to see that. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of options. There's a lot of like little RNG random events that can happen. Obviously, everything's like randomized on your map, so caters to multiple playthroughs. And the game even makes it very clear through the tutorials that it has, where it's like there is a lot to this game. And it will take you multiple playthroughs to kind of get it all down. Just kind of learn the basics, and then kind of let everything else kind of come through from periphery knowledge. And yeah, it was a good game. I'm not a big 4X guy, so I don't know how much more I'm going to play of it. But I played it specifically because I knew we had a lot of 4X fans in the community, and I kind of wanted to check it out myself. And it looks fun. It was a good time.
Yeah. I know Burke really enjoys it. I think he's playing all
Sacro's
this
been
week.
playing a lot too.
Yeah. Are there any like glaring issues that you see with it, or you were bored with, or anything like that? Like, because I feel like 4X fans kind of know exactly what they want, and 4X games are exactly what 4X fans want, and it doesn't kind of go outside of that box, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's not bringing anyone new into the genre in a lot of ways. Do you think this game does that?
I will say that I feel like this game is probably a little bit more accessible in a lot of ways, because it feels to be a bit more simplistic and straightforward. Even though there's a lot of options, it's like those options are not necessarily like vertical; they're more horizontal, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So in that regard, I think that as somebody who does not play a lot of 4X games, it seems like a relatively good kind of introductory style game. Also, the tutorials are really good and have a lot of voice acting, and it does kind of like pretty clearly explain everything's going on as it goes on. But it is a deep game at the same time. Like there's a lot to the game, no question. But it is by no means. There's some 4X games I look at and I just am immediately overwhelmed. Like it is so clear that they are taking painstaking efforts to make it like as realistic or kind of to trick you into that realism, and they really try hard to do that. I don't feel like this game tries to do that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. For real 4X fans, they may find it a bit too simplistic, but at the same time, for people that are just looking to kind of like play a 4X game and not have to, learn a huge amount to do it, it can be a good thing for them to check out.
Are the game times as lengthy as Civ to go from like start to
I
finish?
don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not sure. It
Oh,
did seem
Dan
like there
says
was a
they
lot
are.
of options. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I would go with what Dan said then. There are a lot of options in customizing your game as well, so I think you could decide a lot of that too.
Gotcha. Dan, did you play this as well?
Yeah, I played about 5 hours of it, and I was nowhere near even done with the playthrough. So it's going to be about as long as Civ, which can take anywhere from 5 hours to 2 days, depending on how many players there are on the map, how big the map is, how hard you have it set to. But yeah, it's like Civ enough that people will feel at home if you've played Civ, but it's got a lot of differences too. So that I think if you're looking for something that's like Civ but not exactly like Civ, or like Civ with some improved mechanics and some new twists, I think a lot of Civ fans will enjoy this because it's got some cool things in it. Like the very beginning of the game is so much better than Civ. Like where you're just like start as a nomadic tribe and you just walk around looking for food and for science stuff before you can even build your first base. It's so much more interesting than Civ's start, and then the beginning stuff. And they have like little things like you see where Cohh like it's outlined in blue there.
Yeah.
When he places his city there, he can build anywhere in that giant area without having to wait for overturns the tiles to expand like you have to in Civ.
Nice. Okay.
So you like claim that whole section at once. So you can claim big chunks of the map if you prefer to rather quickly instead of having to like build lots of cities and wait for them to slowly expand or buy tiles. So those are just little things that are different that really add up and make it feel different from Civ.
Yeah. Is there a Gandhi and will he nuke you?
No. Well, that's one thing that's weird is like you can change your culture mid playthrough. So you can start as like, let's just say like the Babylonians, and then later on switch to the Egyptians if it's available, if you want.
Okay.
Like you could adopt their culture and you get their bonuses and stuff when you switch ages.
Okay.
Also about nuking, I found out today they gave they put a bunch of streamers in the game and they gave them like passives and stuff like that. And I found out today one of my passives is Hawk, which is the minus 10% production costs on nuclear weaponry.
Oh,
So-
no nuking for Cohh.
I'm gonna blow your ass up, I guess. So if you like
No,
nukes,
It's the inverse.
Cost him
yeah,
less. Yeah.
minus
costs you less.
10% production
Oh,
cost to make
okay,
nukes.
okay.
So yes, I will nuke you to inexistence.
So it's
if you like. I'd
co-nuking
love
you
to do
then,
it.
not Gandhi. That's
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm taking from that. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. It's $50. How do you guys feel about the price? Also, is this on Game Pass? Is this one of those?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
So $50
It
or
is
Game Pass.
day one on Game Pass.
Yeah.
With the length of the game, if you can get into it, it will most likely be worth your $50. Best thing is if you're looking at a $50 game, hopefully you have Game Pass. So I'd say try it on there first and see if it's your jam. But if it's the kind of thing like Dan was saying, like, and somebody in chat said they've been playing 15 hours and they're still on their first game.
Dang.
So, I mean, the game is definitely big enough to where if you like it, you definitely will be playing multiple times. And if you're talking about like 10 plus hours per run, I'm thinking people will most likely get their value out of this game if they're feeling it.
Cool. Dan, you recommend it as well?
Yep, I think it's for being as usually these 4S games start pretty bare bones and over time get patched and adds lots of things into it. This is very good for the start. It's got a lot of stuff. I think it's comparable to Civ 6 when it launched, about all the content it had at start. And the developers that make Endless Legend, and they are still to this day patching that game and adding stuff over time. So they're very good developers. So they will be patching this over the next several years and making it better and better over time.
What is Why do I know Endless Legends again? What is that game?
It's another 4X game. It's
It's one that had that cool like starship on the front, kind of coming towards you.
Oh,
You know?
okay. I don't know if I did I don't know why I know that game, but I know that game. I didn't realize this was the same developers, so makes sense. Cool. That is Humankind. Zeke, I was looking for some stuff.
That's Endless Space. Whoops, never mind.
That's in the space.
Apparently that was a different Endless game.
There's a whole Endless series.
Whoops.
Mhm.
It's part of the Endless series, Legend, Space, etc. So I think you were close.
Oh wait, it's the same devs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was
Yep,
like a
that's
shotgun.
their game too.
Yeah. Okay, we're
A
fine.
lot of Endless for them. Zeke, I was looking at what you've been playing outside of the indies, at least in Sunday. What is this is one of those ones where it's a deep breath. What is Shadow of Destiny?
Shadow of Destiny, also known as Shadow of Memories everywhere else but NA.
Okay.
It's a game that was released in 2001, I think 2002. It says copyright 2002, but it could have came out earlier than that. A murder has been committed. Your own. Travel back in time to solve thought-provoking puzzles as you unravel the mystery of your death. See how your actions in the past change course of events in the future. You have the power to prevent your death, identify your killer, and change your own destiny. Use it wisely. Okay. That's basically true. So the game starts with you dying. You get like first thing out the gate, you get like stabbed in the back. And you're like, whoa, what happened? And then you get transported to this weird other verse, side universe or whatever. And this being contacts you and says, hey, here's a time tablet. You want to stop yourself from being killed? Yes, of course I do. Okay. So you go back and you figure out how to stop this from happening. Now, this is a recurring theme in the game.
A stranger giving you things randomly?
No, dying. You dying and having to stop that.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, the fun thing about it is that it gets more and more convoluted. How you have to stop your murder. Like the first one, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's like, oh, don't go there, or oh no, I think it was like gather up some people, so you're not alone. So whoever stabs you won't stab you. You're like, oh, okay, that's pretty straightforward. I get that. And then it gets to the point where it's like, all right, you got ran over by a car. What you have to do is you have to go back to the year 1593. You have to get a statue maker to make a statue, or the guy who's planting a tree, you got to convince him to make a statue instead. And then you got to talk to the baker, get a piece of bread, and then you got to take that to this guy. And then the meat, the butcher, you got to give it to the dog so the dog moves out of your way. And then you go like that. And then you go to the year 1900 to do this. And then you go back to the present and you won't be killed. And you're like, wow. All right. Good things about the game is it's one of those, like, it feels a lot like Deadly Premonition. It's got this weird story, got like characters, very, very unique characters, and dialogue choices and translations and stuff like that. All the stuff you come to expect from a game that was, made in Japan and then translated and localized to English. A lot of fun stuff there. It's the camera. It's a lot like Resident Evil. It's very, very fixed camera. If you play it on controller, like it was, I think it first came out on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. If you play it on controller, you cannot move the camera. There's no camera rotation. If you play it on the PC, because that's what I got the CD-ROM. They added camera rotation in there. It's like, why would anybody play the game without camera rotation? How annoying it would be to play through the entire game and not be able to look.
Maybe they want that Resident Evil feel. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Like fixed camera, stuff like that. But it's just funky. Because it's Resident Evil. I understand the fixed cameras a lot of times because you're in hallways, you're in like rooms of a house and stuff. This one, you're like out in the courtyard and stuff, and it seems like a fixed camera. And it's not a fixed camera, so to speak. It's always behind you, I think is what it is. The camera's always behind you. So you can't look left or right, I think, without moving. I didn't play long enough on controller. I said, let me try it. Fuck this. I played for like a minute. I was like, nope.
Hey,
so I just went back to the PC.
Why do I see two different time periods on the screen right now? Like, what's the point of that?
The mechanic of the game is the time in the present, which is 2000, 2001, keeps going no matter where you go. The time in the present keeps going.
Oh, so there's a timer for all this shit, essentially?
Yes.
Oh, I hate that.
And everybody you talk to, depending on who you talk to and how long they talk, it's usually a standard amount. Like, you talk to somebody, they tell you something, it's 30 seconds. It goes 30 seconds gone. Sometimes it's like a couple of minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, if it's like a plot element or whatever. I will say I never really felt like.
Never felt stressed?
Like there was a deadline. Yeah, I didn't feel rushed or anything. It's more about the choices you make. Rather than picturing it as a counting down clock, picture it as segments of time that if you do too many segments, you'll go over the limit, basically. What makes you run out of time before you die is talking to the wrong people too many times.
So it's like more like a resource management instead of a time.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So, you know, like if you die, like I went over time and I went, okay, so all I got to do is not talk to these people, talk to them real quick. I'll have enough time to move on to the next phase of the thing. And then I can go back, because you can usually go back and forth in time to talk to whomever you want. Like, because there's like Easter egg stuff that you probably, it's fun to get. It's fun to get the Easter egg stuff. You don't have to get it to complete it, to complete the game, but it's fun to see the side shit that you can do. There are also 8 endings, I believe, that you can get. I want to say, in my playthrough, I saw 3 of them, because one of them, or the other ones, okay, 3 of them depend on a choice you make in chapter 5, I think, and there's like 8 or 9, 8 chapters in an epilogue, so 9 chapters. So I would have had to go back and do that choice again and play through the entire game. And I said, no, I'm good. So I got 3 endings, and I think I watched a YouTube of a couple of other ones, because they're worth watching. If you ever play this game, which you won't, if you didn't play it back in the day, you won't play it now, because it's kind of hard to find, and I mean, you know what? Never mind. I won't talk about anything nefarious. But you can get all the endings. It takes a couple playthroughs, but I suggest you just watch them. You can just watch them on YouTube. You're not missing much, except for the ending. And I watched a few of those, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff. One thing I will say about the storytelling of this game, not until the end or towards the end do you really see, like, oh shit, they kind of wove it together. And until you see more, like, a couple of multiples of the endings, you're like, oh, that did come back around. Oh, that was a thing that was important. I didn't know. And they'll mention shit, and you go, oh, fuck, that makes so much sense. And there's a couple of twists and turns and stuff like that if you take the time to go through all the endings or watch them or whatever. I mean, all in all, not a fucking bad game. It was a lot less janky and a lot less, I don't know, absurd. I was expecting way more absurdity, way more just like, what the fuck moments. There weren't that many of them. It was actually just a pretty concise experience. I don't remember how long it took me. I'm guessing like a stream and a half, so like 8 to 10 hours, something like that, to finish a playthrough.
Zeke, why did you make your character so luscious and long in the leg department?
That is a question for the ages, my friend. I don't know. That was a character choice. That was the character. Like, I didn't create the character. They made him like 3/4 legs.
Oh God! Now that you
like,
pointed, that's one of those things where you just can't unsee it. What the hell?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. No, and you stand next to any other person.
Is that a
and
perspective
you have
thing,
to be
though, or you...
like 7 feet tall. No, you stand
Wait,
next to other character
the
models.
other people in the
taller than
game
them.
don't look like that?
No, they do not. You are far taller than anybody.
I think we're gonna talk
See,
to
like
here.
Yeah, if we're gonna talk to a person at some point. You do a lot of that, so I'm hoping like maybe it's coming up soon. But you do a lot of wandering around too.
God, now that you pointed that out,
Yeah.
I can't unsee his legs. Like I wish. God damn you, Cohh.
You can thank chat for that one.
Those are some legs right there.
Yeah, it's a time travel side effect. That's what happens. Like,
oh my God!
No,
I thought
no.
his legs were actually growing.
No, I know what it is. There's a hidden an Easter egg info. He's a belter. He's got elongated bones. He's a belter. He's got long bones, long arms, not used to Earth's gravity.
It's true. Great show as well. Great book, great show.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
The Mark plots. That's where you just teleported to. I don't know if we're ever going to find. I thought thumbnail wise, the Twitch thumbnail lied to me. You're in Lebensbaum 1500. very
Yes.
commonplace.
good old
This is the map.
Methods bomb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look
But
at
it
those
has all
legs.
those regular like time travel things where like Back to the Future stuff where you go and talk to a guy in 1901 or whatever, and you say like, you were just given this manor house by you inherited it. Maybe turn it into a library. And then there's a time we have to go back like, maybe museum is a better choice. So you have to like, then you go to the future and it's like, you need a book from the library. So you convince them to make a library. You need a painting, look at a painting. So you convince them to make it a museum, an art museum. So that kind of shit. So it has some of those, change the past to get something you need in the future
Sure.
or present.
Overall, are you glad you played it? Or is it like, how did you even wind up with this? Was this a chat recommended game?
Yes, almost always, man. I have been like, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but there's a huge list of games that I went through one day. I was like, I finished a game. I finished the Ascent and I just took the rest of the stream and I was like, we sat there for like 4 hours and we're like, all right, hit me with the games. Old, new, quirky, whatever. And we just went through a ton.
Yeah.
And I went like, that's a no, that's a yes, that's a maybe, all this shit. So, and I put a big thing out on Twitter. If you want to vote on there's a straw poll. I think it's pinned to my Twitter page. No, a T-shirt is pinned to my Twitter page. You can look at that too. But yeah,
okay.
Tons of games.
Cool. When is that poll finished? When do you decide? Whenever
I need a new game. Not for at least a little bit because the end of August is looking like packed for me personally.
Yeah.
With 12 minutes, Psychonauts 2, and No More Heroes 3.
Yep.
Like there's some games I'm definitely going to be playing, but the poll will be up for quite a while.
Cool. All right. Well, let's take a break here, and then we'll come back. Got some more games to talk about. Got Indie Sunday to go through. I also dove into the mobile world, which we can talk about that if you guys want to see how fucking crazy that thing is. It's real nuts. I have some stories to tell. I played Call of Duty Mobile, y'all, and I lived to tell about it. And I somehow still have my credit card, even though they tried. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. More Drop Frames right after this. We'll see you guys in about 5 or 6 minutes.